Thank you very much for joining us today for such an important and timely discussions. My name is Lily, and a speaker will joining me today is Ruby. A speaker will start with a short introduction, and then I will talk about how to help the people who live on the streets of Thailand.
Firstly, I would like to thank you so much for inviting me to join this panel discussion. My name is Ruby, and I am studying master's degree of chemical engineering at National Chang Kung University for about 1 year. Recently, I am a member of Taiwan SOS Association, which is a non-profit organization running with the goal to help the people who live on the streets of Taiwan.
So before we start the main part, I will show you some pictures which were collected at the train station or Hangra train station or Perth or underground shopping malls in Tainan City. So what do you think about that?
I feel so sad. As a member of Taiwan SOS Association, I think we need to do something about it and get the solutions, get together and come up with a solution to at least have to resolve this problem.
Actually, in recent years in Taiwan, besides the development of technology and economy are the image of the homelessness or the people who live on the streets with the corpus or publicities like us bad. People who become homeless at the moment, maybe they will be in a taxi driver, a worker, or staff at the market. Those people are not distinct or separate from the rest of the population, and actually individuals and families who have to live on the streets may not share much in common with each other. They are extremely vulnerable. The causes of that reflect an intricate interplay between the citizens and government, environment, economy, and society. So, with such situations, do you know what the reasons are?
Actually, the answer to these seemingly simple questions is quite complex because of many different reasons. Among that reasons causing people to live on the streets, we can mention some following factors. Firstly, unemployment. Whether from losing a job or not being able to find a job in the first place, unemployment is one of the major causes of homelessness. No income, no way to keep up with living expenses. The second, affordable housing. The supply of housing units for people with low incomes has decreased considerably, while the number of people needing such housing has increased. And the third, personal or family crisis or major health issue can derail an individual's life, including a family member's poor health or a death in the family. Even divorce can quickly spin into homelessness as it can be expensive and impact income significantly and so on.
So, as an experiment working in a society organization, do you know how many people are homeless in Tainan City?
Actually, the government statistics say that there are approximately 500 homeless people in Tainan City, but I think it is much more than the government statistics.
Yeah, I see the problem is very visible around Tainan main station and underpasses during winter. Would you say that these are the areas where most of the homeless people are? It is because the area is a cheaper place to be. The government certainly wants everything to look very modern in the more eastern parts of city. And are they trying to boost the homeless into a certain area?
The Eastern part is much more concerned with the homeless people.
As in, go away, I don't want to see you.
Yes, they don't want them there.
Yeah, I think there's have probably always been a homelessness problem, but for about how many years have there been thousands of people on the streets?
Uh, Roughly the past 20 or so years.
Or is this due to the trend of stagnant wages and increased living costs, or especially housing in that time?
Actually, that is the major reason.
So if they are homeless, what kind of jobs can they get?
Labor work.
Or street cleaning or garbage collection?
No, building and construction.
So many construction workers are homeless.
Well, the work is not comfortable and it is dangerous. Many only work for 1 or 2 days.
They only work for 1 or 2 days, so that a short-term work, and then they still don't have place to sleep.
When they have a job, they can sleep in a dormitory, but that's it.
So is the rising cost of living and housing is the biggest reason for homeless?
I think the bigger reason is age. Most of these people are in their 50s or 60s. They are in poor health. They cannot obtain most jobs here.
Other health problems, generally physical, mental, or both.
Both. They cannot afford treatment or cleanliness.
So I have seen many more homeless men than homeless women. Is that right?
Most homeless are men.
Yeah, so why is this case?
Is it more dangerous for women to live on the street? Sometimes homeless women will find a homeless man to be a boyfriend or protector.
Yeah.
Also, women are much more willing to seek help than men. Although many homeless men have family and friends, they won't try to ask them for help. Sometimes their self-help is alcoholism.
Yeah. Do the majority of the homeless men have problem with drugs or alcohol or just die some of them?
Some.
It doesn't seem that the majority of Taiwanese are concerned about the homeless.
Yes.
Obviously, Taiwanese development, gentrification, and income inequality have been making things worse. Has the homeless been moved out of certain areas of the city for the sake of big building projects?
Yes, I think the city also spends very little on social welfare, but a lot on redevelopment. I think the most important problem is that job opportunities and have greatly decreased in number and in variety.
So, what do you think the city government need to do better? Probably a lot.
First of all, they need to encourage more homeless to live in shelters, especially one-day shelters.
Yeah, 1 day.
Yes.
Why only 1 day?
There are many shelters in Thailand, but maybe only 70% of their residents are long-term. Long-term shelter management requires a lot of labor, and long-term residency makes residents dependent. Most homeless would rather not live in a shelter to begin with.
What about job training or health services? Should those be improved?
Here should be more job training for long-term employment. The homeless need to feel confident in working for more than 1 or 2 days at a time. Ideally, they would end up with a monthly salary. The jobs should not be limited to whatever little work the government offers.
Yeah. Also, how long has the organization been operating?
4 years.
And what have you been proud to accomplish so far? And what do you realistically still hope accomplish? What other work needs to be done?
We have a new program for rental housing because renting is so hard for the homeless. Our organization tries to obtain more housing, particularly single-room apartments, and we encourage more initiatives to rent. Also, after our example, landlords will be more willing to offer similar accommodations, and we could even rent this room here.
And do you think what is the best way to raise public awareness? How are you trying to bring attention to the problem?
We do various public events in different locations with homeless people, and we try to show the public that the homeless are still good and hardworking people.
What kind of public events? I have heard the hidden Tainan tours. What others are there?
We have a very big event in Thailand main station. We help the homeless to tell their stories and explain why the public should help them. This has been once a year for 3 years.
So, do you think economy changes such as businesses moving to China or other places with cheaper labor also drive into homelessness?
It's one of the reasons the jobs are fewer, and I think homelessness is a very complex issue that cannot be pinned to one cause.
Yeah, one cause. So, what is the single best way for average person to help homeless people?
Actually, provide much more inclusive job opportunities is better.
After talking about how to help the people who live on the streets of Thailand, so now we'll take some questions from the audience. So one person from NTU, he wants to ask panelists one question. The question is, he's curious about he doesn't want to get into the debate about giving money or not, but a lot of the homeless people that he has spoken to in relation to hostels, they don't want to go to the council owned places, especially because of it's a very clean country where and there's a lot of people